Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. Our guest today is Taiwan's Vice President, Chen Qianzhen. He joins us from Taipei. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Mark.
Taiwan has confirmed some 440 cases of COVID-19, 6 deaths since the outbreak began, and virtually no new cases. This without lockdowns, without mass testings, despite being so close to the epicenter of the pandemic. How did you achieve that? One key seems to be a very early quarantine for people coming from China.
Yes, just as said by Louis Pasteur, chance is for the prepared mind. We have done our best to control COVID-19 pandemic based on our experience in the containment of SARS outbreak in 2003. Prudent action, rapid response, and early deployment are the 3 key points for the success of COVID-19 control in Taiwan. Since December 31st last year, we have already taken action to implement a series of measures to contain the disease outbreak in Taiwan. They include stringent border quarantine, early diagnosis and treatment of confirmed cases, home isolation of close contact, maintenance of social distance, and mobilization of necessary personnel and resources, and extensive use of big data analysis and smart technology.
Right. So clearly, your past experience played a role. I just want to mention that you're also an epidemiologist by training. And so I want to have your view on something that's been in the news recently. The Trump administration has claimed, in the words of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, that there is, quote unquote, enormous evidence that the coronavirus originated at a Chinese laboratory in Wuhan. China has said that the virus had originated at a seafood market in that town. What is your assessment of the origin of this virus?
Well, the origin of the virus has to be examined scientifically. And so far, we consider that the virus is originated from Wuhan. And whether it is from the laboratory or from the natural infection sources, need further confirmation.
Right. So you don't discard the possibility that this did indeed escape from a laboratory. That's one of the possibilities, correct?
Yeah, it's one of the possibilities.
Right.
And we have to be cautious about this finding. Yeah.
Right. Do you believe that China was not forthcoming about the detection of the virus and even the death toll of the virus?
From this early report of COVID-19 cases in Wuhan, only severe pneumonia cases were isolated and treated in hospital. Close contacts were not traced and tested. As severe pneumonia cases were only a tip of the iceberg of COVID-19 infected person, the number based on severe cases was seriously underreported. And especially at the beginning of the outbreak, the inadequacy of testing kits also limited the coverage of the virus detection, and the numbers of infected cases and deaths were definitely underestimated. We still cannot find any official data on the number of COVID-19 tests in China up to now.
Right. I want to go back to Taiwan. I want to go back to the very end of last year, December 31st. Did Taiwan give an early warning to the World Health Organization that this pathogen was being conveyed through human-to-human transmission? The World Health Organization said that this was not a clear warning.
Yes, we did. Deputy Director General of Taiwan CDC learned from online resources that at least 7 atypical pneumonia cases were reported in Wuhan, China, in the early morning of December 31st last year. And we consider the clustering of SARS-like cases was a serious, sudden, unusual, and accidental event, which required immediate attention and action of WHO and China CDC. And we immediately sent an email to WHO to report the information and request for further confirmation. But WHO merely replied that they had relay our information to the relevant unit. No further information was received outward. And we have to know that a typical pneumonia in China, it means the SARS-like diseases, and it is highly infectious. So I think there's all information provided to WHO. They should treat it very seriously and to explore the quite likely to have a person-to-person transmission.
Right. Are you also in favor, as some countries, the US has said so, Australia as well, are you in favor of a full-fledged independent investigation about how the WHO has handled this pandemic? This is an element that you gave. Clearly, some are saying that the WHO was late, was not careful enough, or was maybe under the influence of China not to declare this an emergency soon enough.
I think that we have to be reasonably said that WHO did not respond to our email quickly. And it is very important to let people know that once there's a clustering of infectious diseases, and we have to be very careful. And WHO, when they received these informations, and they consider that it's not the time to announce this public health emergency of international concern. And PHEIC was announced only on this January 30th this year, and it was really too late.
Right. I mean, so you're in favor of an investigation. Why it lasted a month for the World Health Organization to take that decision and declare this alert, right?
Yes, definitely there's need an investigation, and all the information has to be transparent and open. I think that recently WHO tried to send a delegation to do the investigation, and all other countries also have this kind of demand. I think that China has to be open and transparent and provide all the informations.
Right. The Trump administration, speaking of the World Health Organization, has publicly called on all nations, including some in Europe, to support Taiwan's participation as an observer at the World Health Assembly. It's supposed to take place on May 17th. It has called the WHO Director General to invite you to this meeting. However, many observers believe that this will not happen because simply China refuses.
Yes. Everybody knows that this time Taiwan has done a very good containment of COVID-19, and our knowledge, experience, technology, and expertise should be shared by us with other countries in World Health Organization. And World Health Organization is a very important platform for global health. I think that Taiwan should be involved in WHO activity in order to share our success with all other countries. And we know that this COVID-19 might have the second wave in coming autumn and winter. So it's really the right time and right place for Taiwan to be involved in this World Health Assembly and also activities of WHO.
Right, but for now you have not been invited to this assembly, correct?
Not yet.
Right. What about the World Health Organization Director, Dr. Tedros? There have been some back and forth between Taiwan and him. He's accused Taiwan of spreading racist attacks against him. What is your response?
Well, Taiwan is a democratic country, and we have very vibrant democracy, and we never have this kind of racism attack at all. What really concern is that the slow reaction of WHO to this COVID-19. I think that if WHO announced PHEIC as well as this pandemic as early as possible, I think that COVID-19 in the whole world can be contained much better and much earlier.
Right. You mentioned earlier a second wave of the virus. Is this a real concern? Clearly, there's a lot of talk about this here in Europe, in the United States and elsewhere. Is this a real possibility, or do you believe, as some others, that there will be no such second wave?
Of course, I believe that the second wave definitely will come. As of now, the population infected with the virus is too small to achieve herd immunity, and it takes time to develop vaccines. Based on the academic research findings, I believe a second peak is likely to appear in autumn and winter this year, and we have to keep on the surveillance of this virus to see whether it will become a seasonal infectious disease. Only the successful development and application of vaccines, rapid diagnostic, and antivirals could stop the progression of the pandemic.
Right. Just very quickly, Mr. Vice President, do you fear that this crisis will create more tensions between Taiwan and China, or on the contrary, it could lead to maybe better relations?
I think that no country can contain this pandemic alone, and we have to help and collaborate with each other. Taiwan once stood alone during the SARS pandemic due to some of the political interference, and Taiwan is still excluded from WHO. And this time, I think we have to collaborate with each other, help each other. And I would like to assure that Taiwan can help and is helping all countries in need. So I think that every country in the whole world has to collaborate with each other, help each other to contain the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. I don't know if you want to add a few words before the end of this interview, but I want to thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for watching this interview with Taiwan's Vice President here on France 24.
Here at France 24, we're taking a broad outlook by talking about the women who are reshaping our world.
En France 24 en español no tenemos temas vedados. Y eso se puede ver en televisión y en todas las plataformas que tenemos en Internet.
في فرنسا 24 لا ننسى ونحجز لكم أسبوعياً تذكرة عودة للمدن والمناطق التي كانت في قلب الأحداث قبل أن تدخل في طي النسيان.
Claro que tiene algo especial. Somos todos de distintos países y trabajamos con todo el corazón para entregar información en el momento preciso.
أخبار سياسية واقتصادية وثقافية وأيضاً رياضية بأعين خبراء رياضيين. هذه هي قناة France 24.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.